Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. How are we today? Good, good. Well, we are very excited to be here today, and my name is Shirley Richter Hughes, the head of Global Client Engagement for the Brand Entertainment Network, and I'm very thrilled to be here, my first time in Tokyo, and it's a lovely city, so thank you for having us. Very excited. I'm also really excited that we're on the inspiration stage today, and why I think that's so interesting for us in entertainment is that everything about entertainment is inspiring. Storytellers are inspired to tell their stories, brands are inspired to help tell those stories, and consumers are inspired by content that they consume every day. That's why we love our jobs, right, Ricky? But I have one job today, and that's to walk you through the Brand Entertainment Network and what we do. And then I'm going to turn it over to Ricky Ray Butler, who is our head of digital, and he's going to walk us through digital influencers and the power that digital influencers can have for any marketing campaign. All right. So what do we do at BEN? The Brand Entertainment Network is a part of a group called the BEN Group, actually. And what we do here at the Brand Entertainment Company is we connect global brands to global brands to consumers through the power of popular entertainment. Within our company, we have three different brands, and we're going to talk about BEN mostly today. But with integration, but we have two other brands as well. One is Splash, which is our breaking celebrity business, and the other is Greenlight, which is our rights and music clearance business. You've maybe heard of those brands along the way at some point in time, but again, we're here to talk about the Brand Entertainment Network. So what is BEN? BEN is the world's first digital global network for brand entertainment. We connect brands to their target audiences through seamless integration into the world's most premium film, television, OTT, digital influencer, music, and celebrity content. And on top of that, we bring scale, efficiency, and measurement to the industry. So what really do we do here at BEN? We're the integration experts, and we have a really important piece of the puzzle here when it comes to brand integration. We sit in the middle by bringing brands and entertainment together. On this side, you'll see a handful of the few great brands that we work with on a daily basis. And then on the other side, you'll see a handful of the content creators that we work with on a daily basis across the globe. Our job is to bring those together and to create really exciting experiences for consumers through content. So what does BEN offer? Again, we bring scale, efficiency, and measurement to the industry. We have access. We have access to thousands of content opportunities. We have access across multiple platforms, which brings scale. And we have industry-leading data partners. As we all know, metrics are very important for any marketing campaign. So when we talk about access and unprecedented access across multiple platforms, what does that mean? We have access to 75% of Hollywood's productions in film each year, accounting for 1.5 billion of the worldwide moviegoers. We have access to television and OTT with premium ad-free cable series broadcast, such as Netflix, Amazon, Crackle, CISO, and more. We have access to influencers, which Ricky will talk about. We have a network of 20,000 digital influencers that we work with on a daily basis for brands. We work with music videos, content from the 4 major labels with access to 80% of the world's music videos that are produced annually, and then talent with our Splash, with our sister company Splash, as well as our relationships with talent agents and PR agents for talent. We every day connect brands with talent in their campaigns. And as I mentioned before, we have metrics. Very exciting for us because we're one of the leaders in metrics in the integration space. We are very pleased to have such great partners such as ComScore for digital, RentTrack for film, Nielsen for television, Cision for talent, and most recently we just added Shirley. Social conversation is very important around programs and around content, and Shirley helps us measure that as well. So when we embarked in building BEN off the back of 30 years of experience that the team at BEN has, we did some research, and we wanted to talk to the consumers about how they felt about brand integration. We were super excited about the numbers that came our way from the custom study. I'm not going to go through them all, but you'll see 73% of consumers said that brand integration into content is less intrusive than television ads. 63% said brands are more relatable. 35% lift in brand recall versus traditional television ads. And you see here even brand affinity with an additional 13% over traditional TV ads. That's really exciting stuff. A couple months ago, we also did some additional research with marketers. We were going through a name change and rebranding a little bit, and we thought it was a good time to talk to our marketing partners about the importance of what we're doing. And in that research, 94% of marketers believe that consumers are moving towards alternative non-ad supported options like Netflix, Amazon, HBO, and Showtime, and all of those are becoming global platforms as well. 95% of marketers felt it's really important for brands to engage with digital influencers. Again, Ricky will talk more about that in a little bit. And finally, 86% of marketers believe that brand integrations are an effective way to reach their target demographic, and we agree, and that's why we're so excited to work with our global brands and our global content partners on an everyday basis. So now let's just look at some fun stuff that we do on a daily basis. And as our CEO said in that quote, we believe that entertainment is advertising's next frontier, and we're super lucky that we get the opportunity to work with global brands and agencies on a daily basis in the medium. I am now going to turn it over to Ricky Ray, who's going to talk to us about digital influencers. Thank you.
Thanks, Shirley. Konnichiwa. Watashi wa Ricky Ray desu. I wish I spoke Japanese more than that. It's an honor, arigato gozaimasu, and shishe, for this opportunity, and it's an honor to be able to be speaking with you here today. 7 years ago, I started a company called Plaid Social Labs. Last year, we were acquired by Branded Entertainment Network, BEN, which is a Bill Gates company. This is one of the only companies that he's focused on right now that is a private business. 7 years ago, I noticed, one day I was on YouTube, and I noticed these teenagers that were looking into a webcam, and they just talked. And it was very raw and boring content. I didn't like it. But for some reason, these teenagers, these content creators, were getting hundreds and thousands of views. So one day, a friend and myself, we tested, doing a product placement or a brand integration within this content. And immediately, we crashed my friend's website, and I quit my job, and I started Plaid Social Labs, where we focused only working on brand integration with digital influencers. I'm a digital influencer. It is an online celebrity that creates videos. So we work with people on YouTube, Vine, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and live streaming platforms like Twitch.tv. And this space everyone used to look at it as social media or as a fraction of your digital media budget. I would like to tell you today that this industry within influencers should not be seen as social media. It shouldn't be seen as digital advertising. It should be seen as the alternative to television, because primetime viewership of millennials, of 18 to 34-year-olds and younger, are watching digital influencers more so than they're watching traditional television. And if you want to target a younger audience, this is the place to do it. One thing that's interesting when working with influencers is it's not a traditional way to do advertising. You integrate your brand into the influencer's content. And it's a more genuine and organic way of doing things, where you have to be sure that you have authenticity and that it's authentic to the programming of the influencer. The only way to get hundreds of millions of views online with video is through digital influencers. And it's the least expensive way as well. As Shirley mentioned earlier, we work with the top 20,000 digital influencers globally. We don't represent them. We are not a talent management. We actually represent the brand and the media agencies to make sure that they can navigate through the space and work directly with the talent instead of having layers and layers of middlemen and women. We also have seen a lot of success working with influencers. Not only have we helped brands receive 50+ million views, and in some cases 100 million views, we've crashed websites. We've sold out product in retail stores. We've seen a variety of different ways where brands have achieved ROI. As you see on this picture up here, there is a list of 8 different celebrities. Variety magazine did a study to see what celebrities in the Americas were the most popular amongst millennials. As you see up here, the top 6, the blue color, those are digital celebrities, and then you see Bruno Mars and Taylor Swift. Right now in Hollywood and in entertainment, there's a paradigm shift. Celebrities to younger audiences are different than what we would see them earlier on. It's no longer just actors and actresses that are in films. It's these influencers that actually own their media, and they're the new media rock stars. This study by Defy Media shows the level of impact that influencers have when it comes to purchasing a product after a review compared to a traditional celebrity. So with 13-year-olds, it's 62% compared to 43%. With 14 to 17-year-olds, it's 63% compared to 47%, and 18 to 24, 62% again. However, I don't like comparing influencers to celebrities. As I said earlier, we believe that it is the alternative to television. So check out these numbers. The Big Bang Theory in the United States is one of the most popular TV shows currently. As you see in the red bar, Epic Rap Battles, their average views are significantly higher than The Big Bang Theory. And this is just one example. There's a variety of examples across multiple genres. And what's interesting is a lot of the content that you find online isn't as professional. It isn't as, have as much of a high production value. However, it's where the views are, and we have to follow the views. There has been a couple of studies in this last year showing how the majority of people are moving over, especially millennials, are moving over to digital devices and are becoming cord cutters. And for the first time ever, there's a decline in television. Smith Geiger and Net2TV did a study where they found that 61% of viewing time for 18 to 34-year-olds has shifted to digital, and only 18% remain with traditional cable. So not only is there a paradigm shift when it comes to what we define as a celebrity, But when it comes to the media practices, the younger generation, their habits and their practices are much different. So how do you work with an influencer? Do you create a commercial? Do you have them, create a script, for an ad? No. It has to be authentic. It has to be genuine. It needs to look organic. So we have a philosophy that we call the consensus triangle, where the brand and the content creator or the influencer, they reach a consensus. So the brand creates their objectives. They know the goals. They know the talking points. They know it needs to be communicated to the consumer. The influencer then creates the creative solution. They have a huge audience of millions of followers because they know how to best communicate with them. So they'll take your objectives and they'll create a solution for their own audience, knowing how to communicate with them best. When the brand and the influencer reach a consensus, it creates a magical experience where the audience, they see that it's authentic. They see that it's normal with the content that they're used to watching. And rather than being upset and seeing the brand as disturbing the content, they fall in love with the brand because they empower the content. And that's the best thing to learn when working with influencers is knowing how to empower the content rather than disrupt it. And this is the first time in the history of our planet and in the history of advertising where both the brand, the content creator, and the audience are all happy with the advertising. It's truly branded entertainment where you watch a piece of content and you know that there's marketing happening, but it helps the content, increase in value. And that's something that's been very rare to find in traditional advertising, where today you can take this organic approach and you can scale it to hundreds of millions of views, which we'll share a couple of examples. So when working with influencers, there's metrics that we follow. Usually when we do a campaign, we always guarantee views. Instead of following a CPM model, we follow a CPV model, which stands for cost per view. That includes all costs, including production and concepting, as well as distribution. Excuse me. And 7 years ago, you were very limited of how many views you could get. But year after year, there's hundreds and even thousands of more influencers that pop up that create new genres or new kinds of content. And every year, there's more opportunity. And so this is just the tip of the iceberg. This industry is exploding. I remember when I could count on two hands, not really two hands, more like four hands, where the amount of influencers that had over 1 million followers. And today, you can't even count how many have over 1 million followers. We also measure click-through rates. So who here is familiar with online marketing and has worked with banner ads in the past? Okay, or pre-roll ads. Okay, there's a couple of you in here. If you look at the CTR percentage, it's probably much higher than whatever you've ever seen with a click-through rate. We average between 1% and 3% click-through rate. Why? It's because when we're communicating the brand messaging to the influencer, to the audience, they're captivated. And they're hearing the messaging from someone that they trust. So they're captivated views, but they're also loyal views. And so when an influencer endorses a product or a service, there's going to be a higher percentage of people that engage with the content and act. And we've actually seen up to 25% click-through rates in the past. That's very rare, and we never guarantee those. We can also measure sentiment and engagement. So we mentioned clicks, how many people go to a website, or how large of a social following we can grow. With one of our clients, Just Dance, we help them, which is a video game that teaches you where you can dance in the video game. We grew their social following on Facebook to 3 million followers in less than 2 years by only utilizing influencers. So there's a lot of different ways you can work to engage with the audience. And if you do it right and you make it look authentic, it's going to be more successful and it's going to have a higher click-through rate. When you're doing campaigns, you can also measure sentiment by monitoring the comments, as well as on YouTube specifically, looking at the like and dislike ratios. If you have a video, when you have a video and there's a lot of dislikes on your sponsored video, it's a sign that we should have done it a little differently. And when it comes to ROI, it just depends on what the brand wants, whether it's building an audience or if it's sending traffic to a website or to a retail store. You can usually adapt or adjust, as necessary with the influencers. So when working with influencers, a lot of brands that are now in the space, a lot of times they want to work with the biggest or the best. And our philosophy is a little different. Yes, it's important to work with big channels and big influencers, people that have millions and millions of followers. However, you don't want to limit it to those influencers. You also want to work with, you want to build a scale and get the reach, necessary to get even more views and to get more exposure. You want to also work with the mid-tier talent as well as the lower-tier influencers. Sometimes it makes more sense, instead of working with one influencer that will get 5 million views, to rather work with 20 influencers that will get 10 million views for half the cost. And that's literally the case. And so what we recommend is the hybrid model, where you work with both large influencers and the smaller influencers. Sometimes the smaller influencers, or the mid-tier influencers, actually have more loyalty and have more engagement than the larger influencers. So some example of influencers. In Japan, this is exploding. As you see here, you have Hikakin. He's a comedian on YouTube, and he creates funny videos. You have Hajime, who does challenge videos. He also does prank videos with his friends. You have Ochi Keron, who does cooking. And then, there's a variety of other channels, Kan and Aki's. It's a family vlog where, they talk about toys, but they also document their lives. And then you have Koji Seto, who has 1 million followers, who does unboxings. So he basically opens up products and reviews them on his channel. Hong Kong also is seeing rapid growth with influencers. And here's a variety of different influencers here. Amaz Heartstone is an influencer that has 425,000 subscribers, and all he does is play video games. It's crazy. And he makes money, good money doing that. And then you have Katie Chung, who does beauty tutorials as well as vlogs. And vlogging is basically influencers that create mini documentaries of their life, where they just document them experiencing new things. And then you have Jason, who does vlogs as well as gaming, and then Beauty QQ, that does beauty tutorials. And just on a side note, 2 weeks ago, I met with an influencer who plays a video game called Minecraft, and he makes millions of dollars. He has a Ferrari and an i8 BMW, and one of his friends has 2 Lamborghinis, just to give you context. And when you work with these influencers, you have to have an opportunity that they're going to appreciate and that they like and that they want to get behind and they're going to be passionate about, because for the most part, with the top tier influencers, they don't need the money. Right now, YY is something that's very interesting to me, and they're actually affecting how live streaming works in the United States and in Europe and everywhere else in the world. YY has some explosive growth, And there's a lot of influencers on there that's doing live streaming. And live streaming is right now the new thing with influencers. And these influencers here, they range from singing top hits to covering music, as well as reading books or documenting, their lives. One thing I wanted to talk to you about as well are global influencers that are maybe from Europe or they're from the United States, but they have large followings in Asia. And so here are just a couple of examples. You have Ryan Higa, who has a large following out of Japan, as well as Singapore and Hong Kong and Southeast Asia. You have Michelle Phan, Cute Girl Hairstyles. It's a lady that has daughters, and all they do is create hairstyle routines, and they have a very large audience here in Asia. And then you also have Timothy Delgado and I Superwoman. And many of them have come over here to do meet and greets with their fans, and they've had thousands of people show up. So you see here on the left with Cute Girl Hairstyles, a long line in Singapore just to meet their favorite favorite influencer. And then you have Lindsay Sterling here on your right. Lindsay Sterling is a violinist that became famous on YouTube and Instagram. And when she came to perform in Tokyo, she had thousands and thousands of people show up. So I wanted to go over just some case studies that we've worked on to show you how brands have worked with influencers in the past. So we've worked with Ubisoft. Who's familiar with Ubisoft, the video game company? So they have Assassin's Creed, they have Just Dance, a lot of big titles. So we've worked with Ubisoft for 6 years, and we've been close to hitting about 500 million views across all of the games that we promoted for them. And we've worked with thousands of channels. Specifically with Assassin's Creed, we've helped them reach 160 million views. And right here, later on you should look up the video, is with Devin Supertramp with Assassin's Creed. This is a video where he creates the character in the video game in real life and has them do parkour in Paris. The video got 37 million views. And so there's a lot of video game opportunity with digital influencers, but it's now so big and dynamic where every industry can partake and be a part of and create campaigns. Who here has heard of Kobe Bryant or Lionel Messi? Okay, great. So we helped Turkish Airlines push one of their commercials, a piece of content, about 2 years ago, and it was for their commercial that was called the Epic Selfie Shootout between Lionel Messi and Kobe Bryant. When they approached us, they were a little nervous because they really wanted to get 100 million views, and they were estimating around 70 million views. And they asked us what we would do to help them to get more traction and momentum around their video. And so what we ended up doing is working with 850 influencers, and we had them seed and promote their commercial. And what happened is when the influencers told their audience to watch the entire video, their audience clicked the link to the video and watched the entire thing. And it increased the view-through rate with YouTube, on YouTube. And so YouTube has an algorithm where if there's a high percentage of people that have watched the entire video, YouTube then promotes it everywhere. And this video ended up getting on the home page of YouTube. And currently the video has 144 million views, and it's the #1 watched advertisement on YouTube. And YouTube has also crowned it as the best shareable ad of the decade. And you can go to the video today and read the comments, and there are a lot of people that say the influencers' names that sent them there. Another company that we worked with on a global level, and just so you know, with Turkish Airlines, that was a global campaign across many different countries. Another campaign that we worked on a global level is a company called Travelo. Travelo created a fragrance atomizer that made it so you could travel with your fragrances and perfumes on airplanes. And we basically had influencers just review the product and give their true thoughts about the product. And they ended up seeing a global lift in sales. Mainly in Singapore, the UK, Canada, and Dubai. And the company ended up really growing really quickly, and the majority of their budget went to influencer marketing. We've done a lot of work with the Lego and the Lego games, and with Lego Jurassic World, we helped that video game be one of the most trending video games last summer online. Steripod. This is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite case studies. Steripod is a toothbrush sanitizer. It's basically a plastic cap that you put on your toothbrush to keep it clean. And at first, I was nervous about working with Steripod because I didn't know if influencers would be excited about oral hygiene. However, it ended up being one of the most successful campaigns that we've ever worked on. Across 3 months, we worked with dozens of influencers and had them educate the world about how dirty your tongue is. And as a result, we ended up selling out. And again, this was 100% of Steripod's media budget that they put towards influencers. They took all their TV, all their digital advertising, and they put it in influencers. And as a result, we ended up selling out over 1,000 Bed Bath & Beyond stores in the US and Canada, and they got 100% reorder. And after that campaign was successful, after a year, they ended up getting in most of in the top 4 retail stores in the United States. So it shows you the impact. You don't only get views, but you also sell an audience to do something, and you get them to act. We do a lot of work with Disney and Disney XD. And in the last 6 months with the campaigns that we worked on with them, we've helped them achieve 42 million views. And this approach was a little different. Instead of pushing traffic to a store or to a website, we promoted their TV series and pushed TuneIn. And it's been very successful. They tested, work with influencers last summer, and they ended up, we've now worked on over 8 projects. We're now working on around 8 projects with Disney because it's been very successful. And what's interesting is Disney actually owns a company in this space, and they've decided to still work with us because they've been able to find a whole new level of scale and being able to target a younger audience. Pepe Jeans is a campaign that we currently just finished. Pepe Jeans wanted to promote their jeans all over Europe and Mexico. And what ended up happening is Pepe Jeans gave us their objectives, and they created an idea called the Get It On Challenge. And it was a challenge where we told the influencers that they needed to put on their jeans without their hands. And so we had a variety of influencers across Europe and Mexico to put on their jeans without using their hands. No nudity, of course. And it ended up being very successful, and we ended up getting a lot more views than we expected. And it was one of the campaigns where the influencers were so excited where they wanted to do another video because they had so much fun. And that's what we want to do. When we work with influencers, you want to make sure it's an enjoyable experience so you earn the loyalty of the influencer to help them not only want to work with you again, but to become a brand advocate. We've also worked with Mad Max, where we promoted their video game, where we recreated one of the scenes in the film of Mad Max with go-karts. It was a really funny video, and it went very viral. We've worked a lot with L'Oreal, where we've promoted their biotherm product. And we've also worked a lot with Estee Lauder. And with Estee Lauder, we actually, let's see here. With Estee Lauder, we actually focused on working with smaller influencers so they could build a relationship with them where there could be loyalty, where the influencers, would be loyal to them for giving a chance because they worked with them when they were much smaller. And so we found all the influencers that they were targeting that were up and coming and were starting to grow. We've now been doing this campaign for 3 years, and several of the influencers have become very famous. And they still work with Estee Lauder, and they love working with them because they know that Estee Lauder gave them a chance when they were small and before they became famous. And so it built a very strong relationship. We've also worked with Birdseye, which is a food company, where we had different family channels, family influencers, document their kids reacting to eating Birdseye food. And Birdseye, they pride themselves of having good flavors with vegetables and having products that kids enjoy and kids love and children love. And ended up performing really well. Reaction videos are very popular on YouTube and on and other video platforms. And it ended up having great performance. It had over 4.2 million views, and that was only working with 3 family channels. So when you look at your planning and you're trying to target millennials or Generation Z, which is younger than millennials, always be sure to do your research and to figure out in what regions that you're targeting, that you find the influencers that can be your opinion leaders, that can be your brand advocates. This is the first time where media as big as television can work for you and end up, creating a personal relationship with your brand where they'll be loyal with you and will want to work with you, moving forward. And now, in this industry, it's no longer in its infancy. It used to be really small, and now it's really big. There's big companies like DreamWorks, Discovery Networks, AT&T, and Disney that have all invested into this community. It's now a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it really is where the future of television is going and where you need to be involved in order to work with influencers and with teenagers. Thank you very much. Arigato gozaimasu. We have a little bit of time. If any of you have any questions, feel free to come up front, and we'd love to answer them. Thank you.